most baby-obsessed psycho I've ever met. Starting when I was 8 years old, she made me and my sister Daniela wear these pregnancy simulation suits for hours every single day. 20 pounds of sand strapped to our stomachs while we practiced breathing exercises and watched birthing videos. If we complained about back pain, she'd add more weight and tell us real mothers don't whine. She even made us practice breastfeeding with these creepy little dolls that would cry if you didn't hold them right. While I spent every session plotting my escape, Daniela embraced it as if it was her one true purpose. She'd waddle around the house with perfect posture, rubbing her fake belly and talking to it out loud. By the time she turned 16, she was begging Mom to let her be a practice surrogate for her infertile work friends. And when she turned 18, Mom threw her a massive party. Not for graduating high school, but for signing her first surrogacy contract. Everyone was calling her a blessing and an angel, while I sat in the corner feeling like I was at a livestock auction. Within 3 years, Daniela had carried 3 babies for 3 different couples. Each time she came home from the hospital, Mom would parade her around town like she'd won a Nobel Prize. Look at my generous daughter, giving the gift of life. Meanwhile, I was getting a biomedical degree, volunteering at women's shelters, and learning about bodily autonomy. But none of that mattered. Such a waste of a perfectly good uterus, Mom would tell anyone who'd listen. Her sister has blessed 3 families while this one hoards her fertility for herself. The most terrifying part was watching Daniela deteriorate. After her 4th pregnancy at 22, she could barely walk without pain. Her hips were destroyed, she had constant infections, and her hair was falling out in chunks. But when I tried to talk to her about it, she grabbed my hands with tears in her eyes. Maria, this is what I was made for. My body is a vessel for miracles. Why can't you understand that? That's when I knew she was gone. So I played along just enough to keep Mom off my back. Told her I was considering pregnancy, wore looser clothes to family events, even Googled fertility clinics in front of her, all while secretly taking the LSAT and applying to law schools across the country, LOL. I specialized in reproductive rights and medical ethics, spending years helping women escape forced pregnancy situations. By 28, I was finally making a difference. So when Mom invited me to Daniela's celebration dinner, I figured it was just another pregnancy announcement. Boy, was I wrong. Turns out it was an effing intervention. Sweetie, you're not getting any younger, Mom announced while Daniela sat beside her, belly swollen with pregnancy number 4. So I've taken the liberty of starting your fertility treatments. Before I could respond, she pulled out a syringe filled with hormones. Just a little boost to get those eggs flowing. I jumped back, but Daniela grabbed my arms from behind. Please, Maria, just try it. I've already found the perfect couple for your first baby. I screamed and fought, but Mom was already coming at me with the needle. That's when I noticed the other syringes on the table. They'd been planning this. As Mom plunged the needle into my thigh, I felt the cold liquid burn through my muscle. Within minutes, my vision blurred and my ovaries felt like they were on fire. Through the haze, I heard Mom on the phone. Yes, we've started the protocol. She'll be ready for harvest in 2 weeks. That's when I realized this wasn't just about family pressure anymore. This was trafficking. I woke up in the ICU with ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome so severe they nearly had to remove everything. My mom stood towering over me. We only brought you here because we wanted to save your womb, was the first thing she said. I pressed the red button for the nurse. She took one look at my mom and escorted her out to perform private examinations. As soon as we were alone, I felt even worse, because she wrapped her arms around me and asked if I was okay. I broke down crying, because the whole thing made me realize how terrible my mom actually was. I ended up opening up to her, and she seemed completely shocked by what I said and asked me to repeat everything. The next hour consisted of me completely unloading everything. The surrogacy, the favoritism, the abuse. As soon as I was done crying, she called hospital security to ban my mother from my room. And I didn't know it at the time, but with the help of just one nurse, I was about to make my family pay. The nurse returned 20 minutes later with a uniformed officer who introduced himself as Detective Rodriguez from the Domestic Violence Unit. He pulled up a chair beside my bed while the nurse adjusted my IV. Maria, I specialize in cases involving reproductive coercion and forced medical procedures, he explained, pulling out a small recorder. What your mother did constitutes assault, and based on what the nurse told me, this might be part of a larger pattern. Through the glass window of my room, I saw movement in the hallway. My mother was trying to push through the emergency exit door, her face twisted with rage. She spotted me looking and pressed against the glass, mouthing words I couldn't hear at first. Then she exaggerated her lip movements. Ungrateful batch. My phone started buzzing on the bedside table. Detective Rodriguez glanced at it as message after message popped up on the screen. May I? He asked, and I nodded. The texts were all from Daniela. How could you involve police? Mom was helping you. You're destroying our family. All she wanted was for you to experience motherhood. Detective Rodriguez set the phone down carefully. This isn't the first complaint we've received about forced fertility treatments. There's been a pattern, particularly involving medical practitioners at certain clinics.